Oh, yes.
Welcome back once again, everyone, and look what I've got here. This is our review for the new Transformers War for Cybertron Earthrise Commander Class Skylynx. This is something I'm genuinely excited about reviewing. For those that don't know, Skylynx is the second ever Commander Class toy released in Transformers, following off of last year's Commander Jetfire from Siege. And whereas Jetfire was the first time we ever got an animation-accurate rendition of that character, Skylynx here aims to be more faithful to his original Generation 1 toy appearance, which means that for the first time since the original toy, he splits into his two components. You have your Dino Bird / Space Shuttle, and then you got your Lynx / Support Unit. Now this toy's even got a fun little surprise in that it has an extra mode. In this case, it's going to be a rocket base, which attaches to the other Earthrise toys via, naturally, the airlock system. Side note, Skylynx is considered Earthrise number 24, as you can see here. Now, I sound really excited, and I am, but everything is not all smiles and rainbows right now. So this came along with my Scorponaut today, which, of course, I'm also excited about, and I'll review after this. And when I got the box, it was wet. And these boxes also got wet, so let me show you. First of all, here is the side panel, which continues the image here. You can see that he's fighting the Coneheads. You got Ramjet and Dirge here, and then you got Thrust to the side, so that's cool. On the back are the renders for Skylynx's various modes. You have his combined vehicle mode, Dino Bird, Lynx, combined robot mode, or whatever you want to call it, and then the rocket base. Now, you may or may not be able to tell on the camera, but all this right here, it's all waterlogged. It's all wet. Even still feels a little wet now after I try to dry it. And it's pretty damaged. Not happy about this. Very upset with FedEx. Might be writing a nasty letter to them. And then on this side, of course, is your regular Earthrise artwork. Now, interestingly, normally on the top of these boxes, you get that little shot of Galvatron coming through a wormhole or something. Here it actually just continues that image. So you can see the back of his thrusters and his tail, along with, what is that? Quintessa, maybe? Junkion? That's something. Some weird planet. So, now, naturally, we're going to open this up and just cross our fingers and hope and pray that nothing inside is damaged. Because I can't imagine they have any extra stock lying around to send me a replacement if that's the case. So I've gone and cut the tape on the top of the box. So we can just open it up, slide everything out. Plus I figure it's better to pull them out this way than toward the bottom where it's wet. So, let's see. Grip here. Slide everything out. What else we got in here? Okay. That's it. Empty. So this, let me tell you, this makes me happy. I don't have to cut out the map piece. It's already cut out. That's beautiful. In fact, I think every Earthrise toy should be like this, because I am so tired of cutting these things out and hoping I get it perfect so that all the pieces fit together. But there it is, matte piece. Nothing appears damaged, so that's good. Luckily, everything was contained inside this little shell here, so if anything got wet, it would have been the back of this. So good stuff. Instructions are looking good. Nice picture of Skylynx. You got his tech specs here. Feels a little damp, potentially. Yeah, I think some of the humidity or the moisture got in this box. That's not good. This feels okay. Got your decoder piece. Go ahead and pull this out. Ooh, I just stuck that tape to the instructions. Shame on me. Okay, nice and painless. So there's our decoder. It's a little creased. Kind of annoyed about that. All right, let's look at our map piece. And right here, you have the Dead Universe. Ooh. That's cool. I'm really glad they included that here. And we're here. Oh, here's a blast from the past. This is the planet Char, which was most prominently featured in the Generation 1 cartoon. It's kind of like a secondary base of operations for the Decepticons after they got BTFO'd by the Autobots there. And if you're a younger viewer, don't look up BTFO. I shouldn't have even said that. Oops. So very cool. Big old map piece. Silly little slip that they include in these things now. Looking inside, you can see you got the shuttle component, the, what do you call this thing? Support vehicle, Land Rover thing? Not really sure. The Lynx. Oh, these are heavy too. I like that. You got the little gun thingies, and then the blast effects, which I think, I'll have to confirm, but I'm pretty sure these are the same as the ones that come with Omega Supreme, just being all orange instead of having that smoky coloring. I'll double check. All right, so we've seen the contents. I'm gonna go ahead and pull everything out. We're gonna start reviewing this guy piece by piece. All right, now we have everything taken out of the package. And you can see we have our space shuttle, as well as what is apparently officially called a crawler transporter. At least that's what the wiki says anyway. I don't know if that's an official term. And then you have your fire blast effects that we saw. And you can see they are indeed the same ones included with Omega Supreme, just done up in a regular orange color. So that's cool. Never hurts to have extra fire blast effects. The one thing that's kind of unfortunate is that most of these, they don't really have anywhere good to go. Like these larger pieces. You'll see that due to their weight and everything, it makes them kind of impractical to use for like Skylynx's fire breath or anything. Smaller ones are great because you can take them, get that off there, and you can attach them to the boosters here on the shuttle, which is a nice touch. Make it look like he's blasting off here. So that's really cool, and it's probably how I would display this in shuttle mode. The shuttle itself has landing gear, and it rolls just fine here. One thing that's really awesome is that they managed to get the licensing from NASA to use their logo here on the shuttle, since it is based off of an actual NASA shuttle. And they even went so far as to give the shuttle a name, Magnificence, which is just a really great nod to the fact that Skylynx is absolutely full of himself. So, really great. The Magnificent one is official. One thing that you'll see here is that he's actually got like two-tone white. He's got a really bright white here, and then he's got more like a very, very light gray. So that helps kind of break up the monotony of the color a little bit, which is really cool. Mine, I'm just noticing, has something on here. Is that paint? No, it's just kind of dirty. Huh. That's weird. It's gotten a little dirty in the factory. Luckily it comes right off, so that's good. Alright, so you can see all sorts of just beautiful tech details on here. Looks absolutely great. No really unsightly kibble on the bottom. They even have some great sculpting here. You can see the bird legs, but they don't really look like anything. They're just red rectangles at the moment. The tail fin, it can go this way and that way, but that's more for the dyno mode and stuff. And the top of this opens up to reveal the solar panels, like you would see on a real actual space shuttle. So again, very nice touch. It's got a little 5mm port here in the top that you can do stuff with. And that'll be used again in the base mode. So yeah, there it is. It's looking very, very cool. I'm digging it. Crawler transporter. It's basically a brick with wheels. Doesn't realistically look like much of anything other than just a folded up lower half of Skylynx. We do have these new, I guess they're weapons or booster accessories that nominally get placed right here on the crawler transporter and point upward. They do have hard points on the end that you can attach little fire blast effects to, so that's cool. You can use these as boosters or weapons or something. He's got treads molded on the top, which I guess the point of that is to roll the shuttle along or something. Then of course, a bunch of treads on the bottom, which don't actually have wheels on them. The wheels are here and on these red appendages here. And this also rolls just fine, so that's great. And naturally, this wouldn't be Skylynx without the ability for these two components to combine. So, in order to do that, you just flip in Skylynx's landing gear on the shuttle. You're gonna take this little hole here, place it right over this, and then press this part down on this white tab to kind of lock it in. And it doesn't lock it in very well, I'm warning you now. Basically just holds it from the front, and that's it. The back end's still loose. So I mean, it'll keep it from just like falling right off, but you won't be able to lift it up by the shuttle. It'll pop right off. But yeah, here you go. You get the whole transport mode for the space shuttle. And it looks pretty cool. Makes this thing feel like it's got some real heft to it, which is good for an $80 toy. And speaking of heft, let's talk about a lack thereof and bring in, boom, Combiner Wars Skylynx. Just so you can see the very strong difference between these two. So Combiner Wars Skylynx is a Voyager class toy. He can form the torso of a combiner called Skyrain, which, I mean, in of itself is a really awesome concept, you know. The world is not worse off for Skyrain existing. It's really cool. But the toy itself, due to its small size, has some limitations. For one, it's massively out of scale. I mean, this thing, Skylynx should never be smaller than, you know, like Optimus Prime. But he also doesn't have the ability to separate into his two components. This is all one solid thing. So he can have his crawler and shuttle combo, and he can have his main Skylynx mode, and that's it. So you sacrifice the Duocon capabilities of the character in exchange for a combiner torso. So, I mean, I'm happy it exists. It's cool to have Skyrain, even if he is way smaller than he has any right to be. But, you know, a lot of people were really dissatisfied with this, despite it being the first G1 Skylynx, really, that we've gotten in a long time. So you can imagine many people were absolutely overjoyed when Earthrise Skylynx got announced, because we finally get the perfect update to the perfect character. So love this. All right, next we're going to do the base mode before we get into the animal forms. So, if you haven't already, remove the Fire Blast effects from his boosters, because they're going to be in the way for this. Set this aside. To detach him from the crawler, you pull this little switch down. That'll release him. And the shuttle, you don't do anything with it really for this transformation, aside from open that bay door on top. But we'll do that in a moment. Take your little accessories off, which I still don't know exactly what those are supposed to be. Okay, so what you want to do, you're gonna pull these out. They're kind of held in by these tabs there. You can see the hole right here. So just rotate it all the way out like that. Same thing here. You're gonna turn it 180 at the, I guess you'd call it bicep swivel, and these little feed or tread things, you're gonna rotate them all the way up. And a nice mini-toothed ratchet. All right, now you're gonna grab these kind of at the shoulder, and you're gonna pull out these panels to come out at an angle like that. Next, you are going to open these up. He splits out to the side, kind of like Triptychon there. Flip it around like so. Bring these red pieces down, kind of like stabilizers to keep this thing from moving around. Bring these legs straight up. They're also held in place by similar tabs. So, all right, I'm gonna bring these feet perpendicular to the legs, rotate them forward like so. And you're gonna take your accessories again, and now this part I don't really fully understand. You're taking one of them, plugging it in vertically like this, and then the other one's getting plugged in facing forward. I don't get the point of this configuration at all. I'm not sure what it does exactly, but I don't know. It does something. Guess there's some kind of communications towers or something or other. All right, now we've got some ramps to pull out. So you see the two on the sides here. Just simply pull them down. have airlock connections. This one you pull out. Swings outward from the bottom here. And then you unfold it, bring it straight down. And that reaches all the way down to the ground like so. And you have this one in the middle. We're going to pull this up and just kind of hold it up for a moment. Now we bring in Space Shuttle, and you can see this has little circles that line up with the boosters on the shuttle. And it's not a good connection. They don't really lock in, they just kind of rest on that. So get a good balance there. We'll lean forward a bit. And then you're gonna extend this ramp out. Open the shuttle doors. Then you're gonna bring this ramp forward. And there's a tab right here that's gonna go in a little notch on the underside of this ramp. So you just kind of press it down, get it in there just right. All right, I actually had to back all the way up just to show this because that's how tall the base mode is. But you can see it's pretty impressive little launch base configuration. I'm not crazy about the fact that there's no real continuous, roadways or anything. Like you got ramps that lead to a wall, and then a ramp that leads to the shuttle, which I guess you could send like repair micromasters up there or something. Now the odd thing is that the ramp that connects to the shuttle actually has an airlock connection on it. Though I can't imagine, what you'd use that for because it just leads to the shuttle. I'm not sure how that's supposed to work. I suppose you could just take the shuttle off and modify this in some way and have that just be a continuous roadway that goes back beyond the base or something, but it's a weird design. Luckily, it doesn't hurt the toy in any way. It doesn't inhibit any of the other modes, unlike the combining feature of the Voyager class. So I'm fine with it existing. And it's a hefty base. It's cool to look at, even if it's not very practical. Now what's kind of funny is it's pretty reminiscent of another Earthrise base mode. And of course I'm referring to Earthrise Astro Train. And you can see the overall shape, the overall layout is pretty much the same. You have a shuttle in the back, sticking straight up, and then you have the base extending forward and out to the sides. So it's interesting how similar these two end up being, despite one being a leader class, one's a commander. And when you see my Scorponok review, you'll see that the instructions there, they show Scorponok connecting to Astro Train, except the picture is not of Astro Train's base mode, it's actually of Skylynx's. You can see where the mistake is made though. Pretty similar looking. All right, now it's time to do our beast forms. So you can see I've got the shuttle by itself again. If you haven't already, go ahead and put away the landing gear. And you're gonna untab his wings from this little red connection here. Lift these up. Kind of keep them out of the way for a sec. His boosters, you're gonna pull off. They actually swing out to the side on a hinge, which is pretty interesting. Usually transformations are kind of symmetrical, so it's not often when a piece goes off to one side like that. You take the tail, just extend it all the way out, swing it down under this, close this back up. And take the wings, fold them down at that secondary joint like so. You're gonna swing them out. They're on kind of like a little rail system. Swing all the way out there, swing the wingtips back. Same thing on this side. So you got the wings. And I'm gonna pull the legs down. Do that. So you got little bird legs. Kind of straighten the feet out, open the claws up. And then position the legs however you feel. Now, he's got some balancing issues, so you may need to readjust the legs here and there to get everything to work. All right, the head, simply just pull it out. It's on like a rail. And he's got multiple ratcheted and non-ratcheted connections on the neck. So it's very posable. Mouth opens. He has a tongue with a little blaster attached that kind of wiggles up and down. And you just go ahead, start posing him. Get him nice and balanced. And look at this magnificent creature. So majestic, so powerful. The only one that can be called Skylynx. Jokes aside, this is a lot cooler than I thought it'd be. I was never real crazy about the little spindly bird legs, but getting it in hand, he does look like an actual prehistoric bird of some sort. And he just comes off looking real cool. Tail is very posable. It's got multiple points where it can curl up or straighten out. The tip of the tail wags. The wings can, well, unfortunately the wing tips kind of only rotate the wrong way. But I suppose you could adjust the base of the wings a little bit. So I guess I have to dock him on lack of posability there. The neck, like I said, you could do all sorts of different things with it. Just moves all around. Some ratchets, some friction joints. The little cannon there is perfect for attaching a fire blast effect. Like he's raining fire down on his enemies. And overall, it looks really great. Really, really neat little creation here. Now for the Lynx, we're going to start with this base mode. Go ahead, attach the accessories again. Set them off to the side. Collapse the ramp down, put it back. In fact, you're going to put all the ramps away. Just pull this guy up, push it back in. Then you're going to close this section back up. And we want to rotate the legs, get them posed nicely, like so. These are going to stay out. These are kind of like his little double tails or whatever. Feet, you're going to bring down, rotate these back around, and then pose everything accordingly. Pretty simple transformation, honestly. Sometimes keeping it simple works. Didn't need to reinvent the wheel here. All right, so we got the body. And take this blue panel and it flips up, revealing the Lynx Head. So you rotate that out, all the way up, close this panel back up, actually. There you go, yeah. Just press it in. And then the Lynx Head's actually pretty articulate. It moves side to side at the base of the neck. And then the actual head here can go all sorts of different ways. It kind of goes up and down like this. It's got two hinges, can turn to the side a little. Articulation a little bit blocked by these blue accents here, but they're supposed to be there, part of the design. And I gotta say, this looks awesome. It's very majestic, very cool. Naturally, you can attach a fire blast effect to his little tongue laser thing too, which also moves independently from the head, so that's nice. And yeah, here it is. The Lynx component for the first time since the OG Skylynx. And it's just very powerful looking, very, very cool. Naturally, we gotta attach his accessories here. So you take the little booster things. This time they go on his hind legs. And it's kind of point backwards, so it's supposed to be his thrust, I suppose. And just kind of adds to the overall awesome look of this character. All right, here's the two components together. And you can just imagine the dread any Decepticon would feel when these two are just bearing down on him, just kind of coming in from both sides there. But they're not quite as magnificent as they could be. Because of course, we still have combined mode. So go ahead, remove the fire blast effects for now, just to kind of get them out of the way. This transformation between the individual forms and the combined one is actually very simple. So for the Lynx, you're just putting the head away. So go ahead, you open the chest compartment back up, pull the Lynx head away, close it. That's it. For the bird, you just put the legs away. So you straighten the knees back out. You're gonna bend the feet all the way inward, and you simply push it up inside. And then the way you attach them is the same way you do it with their vehicle modes. You're just gonna bring shuttle part over, press it down there, clip it in. Now we have, whoops, the incredible, the indomitable Lynx, all of his glory. This is one of the coolest things you're going to see out of Transformers in a long time. A fully articulated, fully realized, redone Lynx. It really doesn't get any better than this. Or I would say that I had mistransformed this. Hold on. Put those red things back in. Those need to go away. Amateur hour. Now, fully realized Lynx. And I mean, this guy, I don't know if you can tell on the camera, this guy is just absolutely huge. It's a massive, massive figure. Fantastic update to the original. Now, is he in scale? Well, one thing that Siege Jetfire was known for was for finally being in cartoon scale. Lynx, despite him being very large, and especially larger than the Voyager class toy, he's still not as big in relation to the other characters as he should be. And yeah, it's unfortunate because War for Cybertron's been really good about scale, but at the same time, I mean, Lynx is big enough for the Autobots to ride inside of. And I don't know how you would ever, that would have to be a HasLab project. That'd be like another Unicron, honestly. It'd be a playset. So I get it. Like, I get why it probably wasn't going to happen outside of a crowdfund, because $80 is a tough sell on a good day. And can you imagine this thing being several $100s? And you know, you just gotta kind of make concessions sometimes and just understand the reality of the toy market. But that kind of minor nitpick aside, this thing's awesome. Now for the Fire Blast effects, again, you got options, right? You can attach them to his boosters. I mentioned the larger combined effect. Now you can put it in Lynx's mouth, but first of all, the tongue is just not going to hold that weight, so it's going to rest against the bottom of the mouth, and his head doesn't like to hold it up, mostly because the final joint here at like the base of his skull, it's not ratcheted, it's not overly tight, so he just kind of tends to droop. So for the sake of not wearing out your toy, I wouldn't recommend displaying it like this. Plus, gravity is going to take its toll on the soft rubber over time too. It's going to start bending. However, smaller bit, maybe this much of it, should work a lot better. Tongue can't hold it up still, but his head can hold the weight, and it's probably not going to droop too badly. So it's up to you how you want to do that. Otherwise, you can just kind of keep the effects off to the side, use them for something else, or just place them along his body like explosions or something. You got options. Here's his mini-me in his beast mode, or whatever you want to call it, just so you can see really how far they've come. I mean, the Voyager, it hits the right keynotes for a Lynx toy, but it just feels so lacking compared to this. Plus, I was never really a fan of the light blue that they used on here. It just doesn't really look right to me. Might be toy accurate, but I just don't like it. Also, the Voyager always had an issue with the back toes here being kind of loose. Tend to buckle under his weight. Not too bad on this copy. I know my Desirus, which is a retool of that guy, they're just completely floppy. They don't hold anything up. Here's a look at Lynx with the other Commander class toy. Obviously it's Siege Jetfire. And it's funny how the first two Commander classes we get are a pair of primarily red and white giant Autobots that are transports. Interesting how that works. I do hope if they continue Commander class, they'll mix it up a little bit. As much as I absolutely love getting these guys, love to see a Decepticon in the mix. You could do something cool like Deathsaurus, you know, an actual Deathsaurus this time and not a weird Lynx retool. Heck, you could do Armada Tidal Wave. Now, there's no reason you can't bring Tidal Wave into the G1 continuity. He is a standalone character, he doesn't have a parallel in G1, so that would be fantastic. Though for Tidal Wave, with how big he's supposed to be, Titan class might work better, but we'll see. Yeah, these two, if you ask me, these are examples of Transformers at its finest. You know, you can tell a lot of love went into making these. The design team over there, it's no secret, they're huge G1 fans. They love the idea of kind of recreating and improving on their childhood, and it really shows with these two. You know, Commander class allows them to operate with less budget restrictions. You see the level of quality control and detail and parts counts on here greatly, exceed what you would expect at a more standard price point, whether it's Deluxe, Voyager, Leader, whatever. So I think they're both fantastic. And for fun, here's a look at Skylynx alongside his combiner alter ego, Skyrain. And the biggest thing to take away from Skyrain is that it's the one place where some form of Lynx Head is actually visible on this toy. So even though it doesn't have a Lynx mode, they do use that head for the combiner head. So it's just pretty neat. Again, kind of silly that regular Skylynx is about the same size, if not bigger, than his combiner form. But at the end of the day, what are you going to do? I mean, the idea of making Skylynx into a combiner, while maybe cool on paper, is kind of silly because he's so much larger than the other toys, or other characters, I should say. I mean, who's going to combine with him and have it be proportional? It'd be a lot of crazy mass shifting. Can you imagine a toy this size being a combiner torso and you'd need like 4 liters as his limbs? It'd be kind of crazy looking. Though, I mean, if somebody wants to make that, I wouldn't be upset. So, yeah, I think that about sums everything up for Skylynx. Me personally, I'm blown away. He has everything you'd expect. Nothing got cut as far as I can tell from the original release. Though to be fair, the original Skylynx didn't really have any accessories of his own. If anything, he's got more accessories this time around. I did hear it reported somewhere that he was supposed to get like some kind of mini-con partner or Micromaster partner, and they ended up scrapping that, which, if that's the case, that's a shame. I mean, one little Micromaster wouldn't have driven the production cost up that much. But again, that wasn't part of the original package, so it doesn't feel like we're missing anything. So personally, if I were to give you a recommendation, it would be get Skylynx. If you got to save up, if you got to take a second job, second mortgage, doesn't matter. He's worth it. This is an absolutely fantastic toy. One of the highlights of War for Cybertron, right up there with Scorponok, Omega Supreme, and Jetfire. I mean, they're really, really killing it with these larger toys. And, if his quality is anything to go by, I'm really excited for, what's coming next year, as well as Unicron, which will be dropping around that same time. So, I think it's pretty obvious how I feel about this. Amazing. Now, I want to know what you all think of Skylynx. Does he live up to your expectations? Is there anything you would have seen done differently with him? Is he too big, too small for you? Any feedback is, of course, always welcome in the comment section. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to toss it a like, let YouTube know that you want to see more stuff like this. If you do want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. I thank you for taking this look at Captain Modesty himself. And with all that said, I will see you next time.